I'm Dan Marker, and I'm the president of the Champaign region for Hickory Point Bank.
Hey, Dan, thank you for joining us today to talk about the work you've done in your bank over the last 12 months, and thank you for participating in the CCP Member Spotlight. So can you tell me a little bit about the biggest challenge you faced over the last 12 months and how you overcame it?
Sure. It's hard to pinpoint just one challenge from 2020. There were so many different things that happened. As far as the bank, we came out of 2019 and we were really in a good place and we had a lot of momentum. And so, our focus for 2020 was let's just carry that momentum and keep doing what we do. And then when COVID hit, that all changed. And so we had to refocus our efforts. And, in mid-March, our number one concern was our employees. And so, quickly we decided to make the decision to close our lobby. And it was really so that we could protect our employees and we could protect our customers. And so as we did that, we needed to move our employees to their homes and have them work remotely, at least as many as we're able.
Right.
And so that was a huge undertaking. For our IT department, for our management. And luckily we did that quickly and we were able to order PCs and we were able to get everybody on the network and we were able to get to the point where we could keep our business moving forward. So that was important. So after we had that, we started to reach out to our clients and we wanted to reach out and say, hey, how are you doing? Because this pandemic was affecting so many different industries that we knew that everybody was probably going to be impacted. And so as we reached out to them, Congress was passing the CARES Act, and that was providing us tools that we could use to help our clients get through this time. And probably the most important one was PPP. And so, a lot of our customers were calling us and we were calling them and we were saying, hey, we're trying to figure out what this program's all about. And, everyone wanted to move quickly because they knew how important it was. And so for us, it was, okay, here's an opportunity. So let's put together procedures and processes that we can use to take these applications and to process them as quickly as possible, close them, and get our customers and our non-customers funds so that they can retain their employees and they can run their business. Because, like I said, so many different industries were impacted that we knew it was going to be a big demand, and we wanted to make sure that we were a resource for the community to reach out to and try to use some of these tools to help us all kind of get through it.
Well, that's really helpful to hear. So it sounds like you had some priorities that were going to be really important to you had the pandemic not hit, and then you and your organization had the presence of mind to be able to pivot those very quickly. Unlike a number of other industries that I've seen that they said, well, let's just wait and see, and then, the events caught up with them, whereas you are able to say, hey, let's make a quick decision here, but let's make a sound decision and move in a different direction to take advantage of the moment, even though the moment was a crazy moment.
Yeah.
It was a serious moment.
Well, at that point in time, the demand for core banking products pretty much had stopped. A lot of businesses weren't looking to expand and grow, and they didn't need new loans for all that stuff. And a lot of them weren't looking to change banks and open up new deposit accounts. They were focused on keeping their employees safe and, trying to figure out how they were going to run their business when all of a sudden the economy was starting to shut down because of this pandemic. So it was really a moment of panic for a lot of business owners. And so, we wanted to make sure that we thought that PPP was a product that we could really become experts in and that we would be able to fill a gap for the community and be that resource to help everybody get the funds they need to move forward. And so, the smaller community banks, don't have the personnel capabilities in order to process a large volume of loans. So a lot of them were working with their current customers, but weren't helping non-customers. The larger banks had, plenty of personnel, but they also had a huge client base. And all those clients were looking to apply for the PPP loans. So then
Right.
it's how do we prioritize these applications that are coming at us like crazy?
Mhm.
And if you'll remember back then, the media scrutinized some of the bigger banks and said, hey, you guys are really helping your big customers first, and the smaller
Mhm.
bank or the smaller customers are not getting the attention they need.
Sure.
And so that was really a point where we said, you know what, we're right in the middle here, where we're bigger than the community banks and we have the personnel and the resources to be able to handle
Mhm.
applications. And we also are, we don't have as many clients as the larger banks, so we don't have this, drinking out of a fire hose type
Sure.
atmosphere. So,
Sure.
we really felt like we were in a situation where we could help the community, and so we pooled all of our resources towards PPP and said, let's do this the right way.
Sure. So it sounds like then you were able to establish a pretty clear why and a purpose for what you were doing. You really wanted to help the community. You really found that there was an opportunity for you to step into a space where there was a gap. So then how did you go about that? Did you have a dedicated team? And what did that look like when you started putting this in place?
We did. So, it was such a big effort that it involved multiple departments. And
Mm-hmm.
so, everybody kind of recognized how important this was. And,
Mm-hmm.
part of being a banker, you're helping your clients on a daily basis. You're
Right.
helping them figure out financial solutions to help them grow their business. So
Mm-hmm.
it's in our nature to kind of say, hey, there's really a good feeling that you get by helping people. And
Sure.
so, what we did is we had to take that from a commercial lending standpoint, and we had to have our operations people buy into that. We had to have
Mm-hmm.
our loan administrators buy into that, because all of them were so important in this process,
Mm-hmm.
where our lenders were taking the applications and we were putting them into the workflow, and then we'd have an admin double check them, and then somebody had to input them into the SBA portal, and then our admin team had to
Mm-hmm.
get the documents ready to close, and then we had to get them out to the borrowers. So there were so many different people that had to come together for this to be successful, and they
Mm-hmm.
did that. And I think part of the reason it was so successful is because of that why.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately we were helping small businesses, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we were helping business owners that did not get the service that they deserved from their bank, and they
Mm-hmm.
reached out to us, and we wanted to be there for them because we knew it was an opportunity for us to develop a new relationship, help
Mm-hmm.
out a business, and hopefully grow that relationship. And many times we did. We have
Mm-hmm.
customers now opening up deposit accounts and moving over car loans and mortgages. And so, it was a great opportunity for us, and we were glad to be there to help the community.
That's really good to hear. And so it sounds like from the perspective of those of us who do organizational design consulting all the time and work with folks in crisis and kind of firefighting situations all the time, you used a fire hose. That just we talk about people that are putting out fires all the time. That's the folks we work with. That you had a really strong thing we call process design, where you had a very clear why, then you established a very clear who, you established a really clear what you were trying to get at, and that was really helping the community. And then you had a timeline. Obviously, the timeline was infinitesimal. Everything was happening now. But then you also had a very clear how. You had folks working on processes and systems rather than just trying to say, oh, here's this thing. Let's see, making it up every time as you do it. Obviously, in a highly regulated industry, you have to do that anyway. But it's even more important when everybody's under pressure, especially time pressure.
Yeah.
And then you had the how much question figured out. You said, okay, well, we're going to allocate these people to do this. They might have been doing deposit accounts and car loans before, but we're not doing a lot of that right now, so we got to move them over here. And you had that how much figured out, and so you had a really clear process design that you guys did intuitively, and it's what has made all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, really a key to our success was our execution. And you talked about, all the different pieces that had to be put in place.
Mm-hmm.
But, our team put in countless hours of
Mm.
taking these applications and loading them into the portal. And it wasn't, all happening between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. We had people working late at night. We had people working on the weekends. So we were doing all that we could. And, we wouldn't have put forth the effort had we not realized how important it was to get these funds out in the community and help the businesses.
if you could take one lesson from this about how you were able to get your team motivated to move in this direction, maybe past COVID, is there something that maybe you and other businesses could benefit that would translate down the road to other situations?
Yeah, I think that, trying to understand and making sure that the entire group understands why your project is so important. And for PPP, for example, the why, as we mentioned, was helping the businesses and making sure that they can retain employees. And so any project that you do, you're gonna have that why. And if you don't, you should.
True,
Because
true.
you're not going to get the buy-in from your team unless they understand the direction that you're going and they understand that the end result is going to provide a benefit that's something that they're passionate about. And
Sure.
if they don't have that passion, then you're going to have a hard time getting people to work at 11 o'clock at night or work on a Sunday or Saturday. But when you have something like we did with PPP where everybody understands the importance of it and you have that buy-in, I think creating that buy-in is important, and your people will put in the effort to get you there.
So it sounds like then really having that why was very important, but also having the what your goal was very important too at the end, so that people could trace it from why they were doing something to the results they were expecting to see, and that meant they were able to really align around that and put the effort in. And so I think that really does translate, whether it's COVID or anything else, and it's going to be really, really important for anybody who wants to learn from COVID how to be more agile. So one of the things that Champaign Center Partnership is doing is trying to create space for its members to collaborate and grow together. And so one of the things we're asking everybody we talk to is if there's a challenge that you're facing where maybe somebody else has figured out a piece of it and that you would be interested in hearing from them on that. So is there any piece of this whole challenge to maybe resetting your priorities and moving all your people home and getting everything in order that where you're saying, hey, we might have figured part of this out, but there's another piece of it where we could certainly use some help?
Yeah, no, absolutely. When COVID hit, nobody knew how long it was going to last.
Right.
And I remember thinking, okay, well, we'll be back in the office by mid-April or late April, and here we are.
Right.
And so, for me, what I've struggled with is trying to maintain the connection with my employees. Because when you're in the bank and you're working alongside your employees on a daily basis, you're able to walk by their office and you're able to stop in and you're able to talk about business, but you also talk about personal stuff. Hey, how'd Joey's Little League game go?
Right.
And those little conversations are so meaningful to me and they're meaningful to my employees. And so when you don't have those, I feel like I'm missing some connection, and I'm sure that the employees do as well. And as much as we try to build that over phone calls and Zoom and all this other technology stuff, nothing that I found can replace those little conversations. And so, if any of our members have any advice on how to help on a daily basis or weekly basis, kind of build that rapport back with the employees and, maybe setting ticklers to reach out to certain people. I mean, I talk to my direct reports on a daily basis. We have a phone call and we talk about what's going on with our businesses and our customers and our clients. And so, I have a connection with them. And I think sometimes it's the employees that are in some of the other departments that I don't talk to on a regular basis.
Sure.
And when we were in the office, I would talk to them because I'd be walking through. I'd go get my cup of coffee and I'd go, talk to Mitch and say, "Hey, Mitch, how's Henry doing?" And so,
exactly.
it's those little things that I miss. And so, trying to rebuild that in this environment, and hopefully we'll get back to the office soon. But for now, that's really what I'm missing at this point.
Sure, and it sounds like that's especially important because that's some of the kind of relational capital you were able to use to get some of these transitions to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to have successfully made this transition and then undermine the next one by not being able to maintain these relationships. And so I think that's really important what you said is those little micro conversations are so important. I mean, it's one thing when you're swinging through with your coffee, how did the Little League game go? It's another thing when somebody has to answer the email from their boss, how did the Little League game go?
Right, yeah. That's a nuisance.
It's a totally different feeling. And it might be something somebody puts off rather than the conversation that just happens and everybody moves along.
Yeah.
So it's really is important. That is a really important challenge I think a lot of folks are dealing with right now. And I think it's really important to have that as something that people are thinking about. How do we maintain those things? Because you're right, those networking events don't happen. Those handshake things don't happen. The bumping into each other in the break room doesn't happen. Yeah. All those sorts of things, and those are really, really important things. So if I can ask then next, given that challenge, what are you looking forward to in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, just that.
Just that,
yeah,
okay.
Getting back and being able to see my employees in person and being able to, sit down with my clients and talk about their business and do the face-to-face personal interactions that I like to do. I'm very much a people person, as most bankers are.
Right.
And, so I miss being able to have that personal connection with employees and customers and the networking events. You feel like that's kind of your eyes and ears in the community. When you go to those events, you get to see a lot of people and you get to have conversations and you get to feel, what's going on. And when you don't have those events, it's very easy to feel like you're not connected as much as you were when they were going on. So I am looking forward to going back to a lot of events and being able to get back into the office and see my employees and visit with customers. And So
if somebody wanted to reach out to you to dig a little deeper, would you be open to having them contact you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that leadership. When you're a leader, you need to be open to reaching out and having conversations with other leaders. And sometimes that's difficult to do because you think, hey, I have a challenge and I should be able to work through this. Good leadership is having conversations and be willing to grow and get feedback from other leaders and trying to take on those obstacles together, because we're all dealing with challenges. And so, if someone wants to reach out and have a conversation, I'm more than happy to do that, because I'm probably going to take away more from the conversation than they will, because I'm always looking for ways to take feedback and incorporate other people's leadership skills and management into what I do.
Well, we'll certainly put your contact information up on the screen here for everybody, and I look forward to seeing how things do evolve in the next 6 to 12 months. Hopefully we get back into the offices, as you say, and get back to being able to actually shake hands and all those sorts of things we love to do.
Absolutely.
Most of all, I just want to thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the work you've done, even years ago, getting CCP started and off the ground. And thank you for taking the time to be part of the Member Spotlight today and for participating in this interview.
Absolutely.